Thank you very much once again for joining this week's wisdom session. As we continue to unravel this mystery of truth in our own version, in our own self, in our own way, in our own practice, in our own understanding, there are a lot of different masters in different times, right? From last millennia or so, where a lot of the grandmasters have imparted the knowledge and truth, the purpose why we are here, what happens when you're in the third density, what happens when you are in the era of Aquarius, what happens, how you need to live your life, what is the conditional life that you're doing, what is the unconditional life that you should be living on. A lot of knowledge has been imparted, like great grandmasters like Seth. We also have Ramta, who has spoken at length about enlightenment. We have got great, a lot of the grandmasters from the Hindu philosophy and Hindu wisdom. And then we also have great knowledge coming from a lot of other Western masters who have actually imparted the knowledge as well. So in that era is where I just want to connect today with the law of one, which is Ra. I am Ra is one of the ancient astronaut who spoke about truth and what is the purpose of life and what we are here, why we are here. What is all is one. The concept of all is one, the concept of truth, the concept of one infinite creator, the universal consciousness, the universal mind, whatever we call it in terms of our own words. What is that all about? How do I get to that? Is meditation alone enough for me, or do I have to do anything beyond that? Where am I in this path going back to my source? What stage I am in? So we spoke about briefly about chakras last week. We understood how the chakra aspect of the energies, consciousness within us, how the alignment needs to come together for us to go to the next level. What are the practices? What are the spiritual tools? What is the karmic balance that we need to get out? How do I balance my karma and all of that? Now, today we're gonna go a little deeper, and especially from I am Ra, the group consciousness. There is a book out there that was written by Don Elkins. This is a great book. If you haven't had a chance to read that book, please go read that. It's a beautiful book about one infinite creator, how you are going to channel the energies. So basically Ra, or the group consciousness that was moving out from fifth dimension to sixth dimension, or maybe sixth to seventh, if I may remember. And then they have actually chosen a medium, a instrument called Caroline or Kathy or something. I forgot the name, but they've chose her as an instrument, and through her they impart this knowledge. So it's basically channeling the knowledge, and Don actually asks a lot of questions about pyramids, about there was discussion about Jesus, there was discussion about how Earth has formed, and so many different questions he has posed, and then they were all captured in the book, and then the responses came from the group consciousness called Ra. So today we'll talk about that very wisdom. This is no different than what you have heard from every master has given their signature in terms of how they have delivered that oneness, but ultimately it is all one. It is all one, right? The creator is one, the understanding is one, and the way we are living in our own planet, we need to go to that one, right? Every being, every planet, every movement, every experience is a manifestation of the same divine source. Right? That's what Ra says. Separation is an illusion. The perspective of individuality is a distortion created to allow the creator to know itself. That's how they talk. That for the creator to know what that experience is all about is where the distortion is coming about, right? So what happens when I am coming to Earth, right? There are like so many different questions that each of us have. Okay, I have taken birth on Earth. What does that mean? right? So we know that we are here to go through some karma. And why do we have this karma? What is the root cause for everyone to come back to earth? And Ra talks about this as all heart of the law is a profound truth in everything, and use that infinite creator, right? From the infinite creator is where this entire experience is happening, and we are all many mediums through which he is experiencing it. So, how the creation unfolds through distortion of unity is what this message is all about. Right? I am in the separation. I have to go into that universal oneness. How do I go about it? In a way that I understand where I am not compromising, where I am not taking things sideways, where I am not biased, where I am not conditional, and absolutely where I am not partitioned in my own way, you know, leaning towards this way versus that way. So we talk about so much of spirituality versus material life, how spirituality can help material, how material can help spirituality. What does it mean by balance, right? Why is that there is nothing above, nothing below? Everything is one and same. That is what this book talks about. Most of the questions and most of the responses from Law of One, you know, deals about this infinite consciousness, right? So, what are the three different ways, right, that the one infinite creator expresses itself through the primary distortions? What are the three things? It's free will, it's love, and the light. There are not flaws, but essential aspects of the creator's exploration of itself. If you may call me as a creator, the inside of me as a creator, I am coming here to experience through my own free will, with the love and light, the aspects as to how I look at things, as to how I learn from those things, right? So, how does this work? Free will gives you a great rise of a choice. Through free will, you are able to decide whether you are this side or you are that side, whether you want to do this or you don't want to do this. It is a pure choice, right? Love is the force of attraction for creation. That is the fundamental infinite creator one is equal to love. Through love, light comes out, right? And light becomes the fabric of all matter and the experience. Whatever we are experiencing here in this world, they talk about this beautiful concept as to how the light, how the love, light, and the matter and experience comes through. So, whatever the experience I am going through, whatever the matter that I am seeing here, everything is particles in the light, right? So, how does the universe evolve? Right? We know already from a lot of different other wisdoms and the wisdoms from Hindu scriptures and all that, that the universe evolves through densities. What are my density yet? If Earth is to transition, we all know Earth is on third dimension or third density. If it has to go from third density to fourth density, then all the beings on the Earth, whether it may be minerals, plants, or humans, whoever are living on that, the majority portion of them have to transition into the third to fourth density for the Earth to transition from third, fourth, right? How is my reality organized? When I am coming here as a first incarnation, I'm coming in the first dimension, then going into the second dimension, third dimension. Like that, I have got about 7 dimension before which is the 8th dimension, which is where I merge with universal one. Right? It's not dimension; it's actually densities. Right? Seventh. That's what Ra talks about. Third density, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and each density that you bring on, or in the dimension that you are on, or the plane that you are on, there is a kind of a learning for us. There is a lot of learning for us. And third dimension, right now where we are, is the demarker. This is where you become either close to divine or you are going to live the life the way you are living it. Again, it is individual free will. It is your choice to make the decision. That's why there is nothing like you have to force people. There is nothing like you have to command. There is nothing like you have to push people to make things happen. They will come at their own pace, because divine, the universal one, is learning through them in that own pace, in that very pace they are in, right? So there is no rush, there is no hurry. It's going to take its own time. Both choices will lead into enlightenment at some point, merging into the divine one, but it may take a longer cycle for someone who has chosen the free will and then live the life by choice, by making a lot of negative kind of decisions. For those who are on the positive side of it, where you are getting closer, whether you are learning through your own cycle of practices, or you are listening to the wisdom of the greater wisdom of the divine oneness, or you have been given an opportunity where you are able to get higher energies, etc., all of that. So these 8 dimensions is where the spiritual growth is going to come. The evolution for humanity comes through these 8. And then wherever we are in that density, the focus right now where we are is for self-awareness and the choice between service to others and service to the self. We'll talk a little more about this a little deeper. What is the service to others, STO, and the service to self? So Rob beautifully explains as to how this concept comes together and where you are. So right now, we know so many of our, even the PSN society, a lot of the masters talk about self-awareness. It is only through awareness you are able to make the conscious decision, or you can execute your free will to make the right choice, whether you are with love or whether you are in control and judgment. Right? How do I forgive? Right? What is the purpose of forgiveness? What is the purpose of gratitude? Right? When you are with the divine oneness, everything that you are seeing, whether it is like every being, every planet, every movement, and every experience is a manifestation of the same divine source. This is fundamental, right? This is where it comes. Any separation that you are seeing is an illusion, the perception of the individuality. Okay, and this is what Ra talks about as to how do I bring it back, how do I make sure that he talks about a couple of exercises, right? He talks about 4 exercises specifically as to how do I practice love, how do I practice myself to become that infinite creator, how do I recognize myself to be that infinite creator, what do I need to do to become that infinite creator. He talks beautifully about it, right? Now, if I look at this discussion about self to others, service to others and service to self, what does this mean? Right? The entire third density beings, which is all human beings for most part, are going through the decision aspect of this. Your free will has a choice to execute whether you chose to serve others or you chose to serve your own self, selfish activities, right? If you chose to serve your own self, then this is a path, right? It is absolutely fine. Your reach to get to that 8th state or 8th density or the divine oneness will take a longer time versus the choice or the path that you chose where you are serving others. You are basically fast tracking yourself to go to the divine oneness, right? So now how do I differentiate between service to others and service to self? What is that? What is there in that is the polarization. Service to others is all positivity. Service to self becomes somewhat negativity because you are conditioned. You are doing it for your own gains. You do not worry about everything else. When you are in that consciousness of divine oneness, there is no individual I that you are doing it. When you are doing anything at an individual level, serving yourself, it is more like you are working with your ego. When you do work with your ego, you tend to make a lot of negative decisions, right? So again, the path itself does not say this is right or this is wrong. This is a choice. Whether your choice is to go towards STO or choice towards STS. Service to others, service to self, right? So service to others, what does it include? Service to other path aligns with love, compassion, and unity. You are serving others with love, with compassion, and with unity. Service to self path aligns with control, separation, and self-interest. Control, separation, and self-interest. So what happens in this case is both are spiritual evolutions. There is no doubt about it. But they lead to a very different journeys. The journey that you are doing in STO is totally different than a journey that you have chosen to go STS. So every third density being, which are human beings, for most part, have a choice to make through your free will. Through your free will, you have a choice to make a decision which path you want to take. And one of and you know, like earlier I mentioned about these exercises, right? So one of the exercise that he talks about is look for that love, that divine love, in every moment that you experience, because that alone exists. Only love exists. Whether that love you are perceiving in that moment as sad thing or a bad thing for yourself, or it may be a beautiful thing that has happened, you have conquered the entire world, you know, it may be a happy moment, it may be a dull or sad moment, it doesn't really matter. The moment does not have anything to do with the rudimentary love that it actually captures. The infinite one creator's love is throughout the universe in every moment. It is our ignorance or our lack of understanding that we go through a lot of disappointments or negative side of things, and then we forget, or we totally lost control of our own self, and then try to make, you know, judgments, complaints, and then comments about other things. That is what this is talking about, right? The first exercise is about trying to look, what is this movement? Where is love in this movement, right? Look for this love in this movement. That's one exercise he talks about. And the other one he talks about is you being the co-creator. You are the co-creator. When you go look into your mirror, you can start to see your own self. You are God by, you are the embodiment of the divinity that you are. God has not created himself as a smallest particle that and then put it out there for you. He is the embodiment of what he is in you. You are nothing, no different than the God himself. So they talk about this practicing when you stand in front of mirror, when you're, you know, getting up in the morning or afternoon, whenever you're looking at mirror, remember, don't just remember this body, look at this body as body, look at this body as a divine's gift. You are the divinity within, right? The divinity is within you, and it is in embodiment of it. It's not half of it or 1% of it or 2% of it. The 100% divinity is there in you. That's what they talk about as practicing. A third one they practice is about when you are looking at things, when you are looking at others, look at yourself in others. Look at the co-creators in others. Like the way you are looking co-creator within you, you also need to look at co-creators in others. At which point you will stop judging others, you will not condition yourself, you will not complain, and you will accept no matter what may be the situation. Good, the bad, the ugly. You will not have any kind of, you know, flavors in your mind, you know, at least from a thought process perspective. So this was another exercise they talk about. It's a beautiful way to practice when you try to bring truth into your life. How do I choose the purpose, right? What's my life purpose? To choose a path. Whether I want to go STS path, I want to go STO path, where love, compassion, and then my ability to have unity, unity in diversity, right? How do I bring that together from a divine one perspective? Or I go through this channel of control, separation, and self-interest, all my self-interests, right? So experience is the catalyst for our growth, right? Challenges, emotions, and relationships, they are not random. They are catalysts designed by the soul for its own evolution. We always think that, hey, this situation is happening because of whatever, maybe an accidental thing, or some challenge in my life is coming to me because it just happened, or a relationship is working or not working. It's because, hey, I should not said this, but I said this, or I should have not done that. I did it. You did it. All this is something that we are illusion towards our own control. We are trying to figure out why this has happened to me. But the truth and the reality, if you go behind the curtain of all this drama, is these challenges, these emotions and relationships are not random. They are catalysts designed by the soul for its own evolution. I brought all these things, every movement, whatever is happening. Actually, Bhagavan talks about this at very length, and he says that everything that is happening is, even a spoon, you are moving from one place to another, is happening because of the divine. Nothing is happening that you have any control. You brought it, whatever you brought it as part of your soul evolution, that is exactly what is happening. Either it is happening right now or it is going to happen, but that you cannot avoid. So each movement unfolds a lesson in love, in acceptance, in clarity. Now the question is, am I ready to take that in? That is the question. The question on the table for each of us is, each movement has love, each movement has acceptance, each movement has a clarity, a lesson that we have to learn from that. Am I ready to learn the lesson? Am I ready to clearly have that clarity as to why this situation came my way? What am I going to do? Are you going to spend time with that situation to figure it out? Are you going to look for love in that moment to understand the big picture as to everything is universal one and it's all under the hood of divinity? And you say that, okay, this is happening, I should just move on? Or is there a level of greater interest for you to accept every moment as it comes to you, knowing and understanding that everything is for my own soul growth? There is nothing, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing or a relatively ugliest thing that is happening in my life, it is only for my own growth, right? Through responses, through reflections, both, whether you are valid in your spiritual evolution, whether you are ready to lead a different kind of a journey, it is a choice. That's why the divine, when he sent us to have these soul experiences, he gave this choice of free will. In the process of free will, you are making decisions and you are devising your own lives. And we are, especially in the third dimension, where I am supposed to be, when do I bring these love, compassion, and unity? When do I bring the control, self-interest, and judgmental kind of attitudes? When do I bring them? At what point? Can anyone talk? Anyone? What do I need to have for me to be able to have this choice, this way versus that way?
Control of mind.
Control of mind. More. What does control of mind mean?
Sir, one more time question, please.
So the question is the choice of me taking this love, compassion, and unity versus control, separation, and self-interest. When do I make that distinction with myself using my free will? At what point? What do I need to have?
A purpose of life. You need to know your purpose of life.
Self-awareness.
And yeah, self-awareness. Like
it is the self that
consciously making self-awareness.
Exactly. Self-awareness is the most important thing. Only you will make right choice when you are aware. In that very moment, whatever is happening in our life, if you are aware, only then you make the right choice. Whether you want to go STO or you want to be STS depends upon how much are you aware in that moment. And that's where meditation comes an excellent tool. It is with meditation and contemplation. Whatever the exercises I was talking about earlier, Ra also talks about those who actually are meditating, those who are actually contemplating, are the only ones who will be able to make those conscious practices, because that needs a level of evolution within your own journey, and which comes handy when your mind is not too heavily chatted. Right? If I have to be aware in that moment, my mind cannot be chatting too much. Right? How do I bring back my mind into that moment? Is when I have sufficient energies and when I have in the awareness. So it is important. What are you executing? Whether you are executing STS or STO depends upon your awareness in that moment. Sometimes we get carried over with the movements. I get carried over with that movement. I should have not done that. You repent it, you come back and do all that. Right? Why is that happening? Why am I reacting to every situation? Because I've lost my awareness of the big picture. I do not have that realization or understanding, the deeper understanding as to what divine one is all about. When one infinite creator is running everything and he is running through me with his experience, who am I to go make a choice of this way to that way? This awareness is only thing that will help us. The more and more you look at it, it is that awareness that running the show.
Yes.
How do I get that? You get it through meditation.
Yes.
So that's why, as much as we embrace this wisdom, we understand this knowledge, we try to kind of reason this knowledge to a point where it makes sense to us. It will only work when you are in that awareness. The state of awareness is very important. Now and then there are also other important things, and then he talks about, Ra talks about love is the essence of creation. How love is the essence, if beyond your words or emotions, love is the only intelligent energy that is out there. Right? The power of forms, the power of sustenance, the power of the entire cosmos is running because of this one and only one thing, that is love. Love is equal to divine, divine is equal to love. There is no difference between them. It is the driving force behind all the growth and the entire unity, the divine oneness, the so-called, right? The more and more we recognize and we live aligned with this love. When I'm talking about love, this love is the divine love that is the root of everything, not the emotional love, not the relationship love that we typically express based upon your own attachments. I'm not talking about that love. Ra is talking about the love that is the essence of your being. That is the love that they are talking about, the divine love, right? The root of everything. So that root of everything is where, when we recognize and then we live in this alignment with this love, right? That's when we accelerate the evolution towards the creator. How do I accelerate my life? So I have taken a conscious decision with my awareness that I want to serve others. It is in my interest to serve others for me to reach in a fastest way from third density to the 8th density. 7th density you are there, and the 8th density you're becoming one. How do I get there in the fastest way if I put the path together? Is when I am with love, when I am with compassion, when I am with unity. How do I get that? By serving others. Why do I serve others? Because I understand there is only one. Everything is divine oneness. So it is the combination of the wisdom that you're bringing on, the knowledge that you're gaining, the practices that you're bringing on, and the wisdom that you're developing towards that infinite creator, that you become closer to that spiritual, in your evolution path. Right? Again, there is no right or wrong. Please do not look at this as right or wrong. It's a slow pace versus a fast pace. Using your free will, each of us have a choice to make, whether you want to go in a fastest way towards the creator's view of it, or you wanted to take different hits by doing your own things, by taking decisions on your own hand, which is what is called negativity. In some sense, we call it negativity, right? Not so doing by the rightful choice at that very moment. So we create our own karma, and through karma, we bring back our lives and we extend the lifespans, right? Instead of taking it in a 10 lifespans to go to the divine one, you have a choice through free will to go 100 lifetimes. So it may be a little rough for the ones who are going STS path, but there is no right or there is no wrong, because in both cases, soul is learning. The purpose why soul is here is learning. So it is learning. How soon you are learning matters. How fast you learn matters. How well you learn matters. Some wants to go through in one experience. Some learn by just listening to others. Some learn by going through that experience physically. Some learn by their own practice. They don't want to listen from everyone. They want to sit and practice. I wanted to experience this on my own. You don't tell me, right? It's a choice of that free will to go through that process. That's why it's the intelligent energy. That love is the intelligent energy, and through which you are able to bring it back. Now, this is the main purpose as to why we are all here, right? If I call this purpose as my real purpose, this is the reason why I am here. This is the reason why we are all doing what we are doing in every day. The emotionals, the conditions, the situations, the circumstances, the kind of lifestyle, why we are living in United States of America, everything is not random. Everything is by design. That is what it is. And then the next one they talk about, I'm just giving the gist of that entire book today. I'm just giving the concepts as to what are the beautiful things that we can bring it together. Death is a transition, not an end. Death is a beautiful thing that happens as a transition for us. So between the lifetimes, there is learning. Because soul, when departs from earth, goes into that hibernia stage, or whatever that stage that it is in that stage, it starts to learn what happened when the soul was on the earth. When you had a body, mind, what are the experiences that you went through? How were those experiences? What are the good things? What are the not so good things? How this coming life is going to get affected? There is a lot of learning that happens between the lifetimes. It reviews all the lessons, chooses the next incarnation, and then reinforces the type of goals that it want to accomplish in the next life. This process of reincarnation continues. Life, death, continues until the soul achieves the necessary positive, the polarization, right? For the graduation to the next destiny or the density. Whatever the density, like I'm in the third density, I want to go to the fourth density. Until that I get into that state of it, it keeps doing it. It keeps doing it. It has to evolve from that state. And then it will take rest for some time. And again, we'll start coming down. Right? So like that, whenever death is happening, do not think that death is end of it. Death is only a transition, right? They talk beautifully, one or two examples about how death comes and all that. And then they talk about the harvest is the gateway to fourth density, right? Fourth dimension. I'm in third dimension today, or fourth density, and I want to go to third density. I want to go to fourth density, with that my awareness, right? So we are talking about Earth is now in the third density and it's trying to move into the fourth density. What happens during this transformation phase called harvest? Every soul is being evaluated on their spiritual polarization, right? Whether what state you are on, whether you are in STO with a 51% or with STS with 95%. They talk about positive percentage, negative percentages and all that. But the idea is whether that unconditional love and the group consciousness has evolved to a point where Earth can move into that fourth density or fourth dimension. So with beautiful examples, they talk about how these things come together and all of that. And then the other important point is how the creator is learning through us, through each of us, right? Every soul, no matter how evolved or confused they are, is a fragment of that one divine infinite creator, right? Every choice, every experience, every moment of awareness is the creator knowing itself. So very, very, I like this, phrase very much, actually. Every experience, every choice, every moment of experiences, awareness, every moment of awareness is the creator knowing itself. So creator is learning. I am a creator. Whatever I am going through my choices, whatever I am experiencing in my life, and whatever the moment of awareness that I am carrying is my creator, is me, right? I am going through it on my own itself, because I don't see different from my divine oneness. I am in divine oneness, like the way you are on divine oneness, right? So our lives are all sacred. Do not take your life lightly. Do not take your life granted. You are here for the purpose, and you have to serve for the purpose. You have to live. You have to stand for the purpose. Otherwise, the purpose is lost. Then you have to come back again and again. You have to come back.
But
Right?
how do we know what we have come? Each one has is their own learning, right? So when, as you said, like when we leave our body, we'll know at that point of time why we have taken birth to what to learn. But like when we are in the body, how do we know what we have come to learn, what learnings
So
we have?
what happens, ma'am, is any particular thing that is coming again and again in your life as a repetition, we should know that we brought it with us. Right? That's the way to recognize. If I am not doing my past life regression, if I don't want to go deeper in my meditation to be able to understand a lot of those things, that's fine. You don't have to. But in the physical reality, in the physical state where I am today, in the worldly affairs, if a particular thing is coming and hitting me again and again, then that is the destiny. That is something that we brought as per the design. So we should know that. Usually emotions, the relationships that we bring, there are a lot of choices that we make through which we go through the experiences, the repeated experiences that are coming my way. Most of these are karmically connected. There will always be some kind of karmic connections. And then some type of feelings, a urge of a feeling to do something beyond the state or beyond your capacity. Some of those things are also like where you are going towards your design. And how do you know that you are in the purpose? Is without anything, you will start to feel happy. You will start to feel peaceful. You will have that inner peace. You will have that inner happiness just by doing what you're doing. It's not like, you're trying to bring it. It just happens. If you are able to recognize that, then you know that is your purpose. Any work that you are doing, which you are enjoying from inside, which you are feeling happy, which you are feeling peaceful, that is the purpose that you are here for. serve the others, right? Most of the meditators who have gone their phase of lives to an extent, they are all in that serve the others side of it. Love, compassion, and unity. If you are in the early third density or third dimension, which is a natural where you are coming from second dimension or second density to third one, in the early phase of the evolution, you may probably look for control or separation or kind of, self-interest and all that. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Thank you, Anil.
Yeah. So how do I get it? So thus we have to live, and every life is sacred, every being is sacred, so we have to take care of everything, right? Everyone is here for the purpose. How I expand my divinity is through my own choice. It is my choice that gives me my divinity or breaks my divinity. It's my choice, right? What is the highest act of will, right? And then they talk about this concept, right? When I have this free will to make decisions, what is the highest act of my free will? Is to seek love in every moment. A beautiful statement. To seek love in every moment is the highest act of will. So if I'm able to carry in every moment, whether it is good moment or not so good moment, I'm able to seek that love in that moment, then you are executing the highest act of your will. No matter the circumstances, the central only spiritual exercise is to consciously seek love. That's the first exercise they were talking about earlier. You have to remember to seek love very consciously in every single moment. Even in distortion, even when you are suffering, even when you are totally conditioned by a situation or by a circumstance, right? Your sincere seeking realigns with the truth of oneness. Every one of us should look for that love. Only through that love, you go back to the source, or you become that source, or you are that source. Maybe you will realize that source, right? In doing so is how we fulfill our purpose and we return one step at a time back to the source, right? To the infinite source from which we came out from. Right? If I have taken 100 steps down to take this incarnation, I need to go back these 100 steps to go there. My choice is only one thing: how soon I want to go there. That's it. I will eventually go there no matter what. But how soon I want to go there is my choice. So love is a wonderful way. Love as an expression, love as a being, love as a, finding that love in every moment is the way of living. Any questions? No questions? So in the grand cosmos, law talks, the Ra talks about the densities, right? I was talking about the first density, second density, third density, fourth density, fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and then eventually to the eighth to become one with the merge with the universal one. So they talk about some of those aspects of it. We can cover that in the next session. And then talk about some of the examples as to when I'm disappointed, how do I seek love? When I'm going through a particular situation in life, how do I seek love? How do I practice this being in that state of being, love? What do I need to look for? In every moment when you say look for love, what does it mean? How do I practice that, right? So we'll take some scenarios or some examples. So in next one or two sessions, we'll try to cover more of Ra's wisdom. It is a beautiful book, masters. If you have, it's little deeper because there's a lot of discussion about a lot of different things. You may be hearing it for first time, so you may have to reread the book again and again, those sentences again and again, couple of times for you to understand what was the message and what are they trying to say. Most of it will align to other grandmasters and to the philosophical discussions that you have on the soul or the spirit or how the complexities of body, mind, spirit works, or body, mind, soul, what confusions we carry, So they talk about a lot of those different things. And there's also beautiful discussion that goes about Giza pyramid, how the pyramids are built with thoughts, how those rocks have been brought in, the manifested thoughts to use to actually bring those big rocks and build that temple, and that was meant for some purpose, and how it kind of shifted because of one of the pharaohs. And then they talk about Atlantis as civilization, what happened, Lumera, how they have left Earth, and what happened, and what kind of wars they have waged, and all that. Right? A lot of information. It's all about how do we bring ourselves closer to the divine one, right? Like the way they are transitioning from 5th to 6th, or 6th to 7th, we are also should be transitioning from 3rd to 4th. And how do I do that? How Earth comes, the living beings on Earth are coming from Venus, from Mars, from Orion, other groups where dark energies are spreading on Earth. How do they play things around? How do I control the emotions? How do they implant thoughts in your mind to do not so good things? The STS kind of a thing. What happens when you have a divine being who is incarnated, and how does an evil spread? When the incarnation is trying to give a God's message, how does the evil spread not to receive it? Some of those things, beautifully they talk about it. But good book. If you don't have it, let us know. Let me know. I can put it out. It's actually in our Google Drive, so you can get it.
What's the name of the book, you said, Anil?
Astronauts, the ancient astronaut speaks. Law. The law.
Okay.
The Ra is the law of one. Ra. Ancient astronaut speaks, if I believe. All right. Any questions, Masters? Any final questions? All right. If not, then we'll call it a night. We'll see you all next week. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.